Good evening. We have a very serious topic to discuss tonight, and there's been a lot of controversy, some tension between the different factions, people who only love bar soaps and folks who only love body washes. And people want to know, what is the future going to be like? Which product category is going to grow stronger and which one is going to grow weaker? Now, when I first started this YouTube channel, I will tell you, bar soaps were far more popular than they are today. They were almost at eye level in store shelves. But over the years, body washes have just sort of exploded, and they've moved up the shelves until now the body washes are at eye level and bar soaps are on the bottom. And bar soaps have become almost an afterthought for a lot of major producers. And I gotta say, I'm glad I did incorporate body washes into this YouTube channel. I've enjoyed using them, so many different variations, bottle designs. It's been a lot of fun. But I'm going to cut to the chase here and tell you that the future belongs to bar soaps, and there are some very complex reasons for that. A lot of it is going to have to do with production costs. What does it cost to produce a bar of soap and then wrap it in a cardboard box? That is not a lot of money. Whereas you have sometimes complex pumps like this for your body wash. This is a small mechanical device, but it does cost more than a cardboard box. And so if money gets tight and the economy is going south fast, these are going to start to fade away. So we're going to start seeing fewer pump bottles. We're going to see more squeeze bottles. And then as time goes on, those bottles will get smaller. And then as more time goes on, the body washes that people are using are going to be diluted. I'm already starting to see a few complaints from people who've used products for a long time, saying that they think their body washes are already getting a little watered down. We do know that companies do these types of things in a recession. For instance, Dove has shrunk their bars from 4 ounces to 3.75 ounces. But the thing is, this is going to be far more than a little recession. I remember the last recession we had. It was a great recession of 2007 to 2010, and I had a front row seat for that. I would read the Financial Times every day from front to back, and I always had people I could talk to who really had an intuitive understanding of everything that was going on, and it was amazing. Now, if you never got into the how and the why of what happened, there are some movies I can recommend that you watch. The first one that you should watch is called The Big Short. And then after you've seen that one, you need to watch another movie called Margin Call. And that will sort of explain it to people who aren't familiar with what happened. And the mortgage-backed security crisis, it sort of emanated out, it affected everything in our country's economy here in the US, and then globally. It led to more unemployment. It led to people losing their homes. It was just stocks dropped in value. It was a very ugly period of time. But that was just one segment of the economy. Mortgages. And now look at the economy today with COVID. You have had wide swaths of the economy shut down completely. Travel, entertainment, restaurants, I mean, you name it, it's been shut down at one point or the other. And this is unprecedented. I mean, we have higher levels of unemployment than we've ever seen in our lives. And if it were not for the government providing these larger unemployment checks, we would see general demand for anything just drop off of a cliff. And we may still yet see that, because the government can't continue to fund everyone and everything at the levels it's doing today. I will say this, the Fed did move quickly, and by the Fed, of course, I mean the Federal Reserve, in at least halting a global depression, but there are still questions now because of all the money, the trillions and trillions of dollars that we have been injecting into not just the real economy, but the financial world as well. How is that going to play out? Where is that money going to go? Who's going to pay it back? We don't have answers for these questions, and the crisis isn't even over yet. I believe come wintertime, this will intensify and get worse as far as COVID. That's going to lead to more shutdowns. That's going to lead to more fear and uncertainty. And I mean, unemployment is a tidal wave that's just slowly moving through the economy right now. It's affecting the frontline workers. You have a lot of white-collar workers who can still work from home and keep their income. But when demand starts to die down, you're not going to need as many white-collar workers as you have today. It's going to be like during the last crisis where the kids were graduating college and they couldn't find jobs. And they went years without being able to find jobs in their fields because all the people who are unemployed are going to be honing their skills. They're going to be trying to get good jobs. And so if you are a white-collar worker now, I'd be a little concerned about my future. Businesses are going to want to cut costs because it's going to become a very competitive environment. And with people not transitioning into the job site anymore, they're going to have so many potential applicants to choose from. Some guy in nowhere, Kansas will be able to get a job in Silicon Valley working remotely now. And they're not going to need to pay him Silicon Valley wages anymore because he lives in a low cost of living area. And I mean, just look at commercial real estate and what's been going on. It's frightening. Every day that passes, the news gets worse. Yes, the government is sort of backing up retail and they're backing up commercial. I'm not too worried about the commercial bonds for commercial real estate falling out. The government's going to backstop everything. But the physical aspects of it, your businesses are going to close because the demand is not going to be there. And there are different reasons for that. Some people are staying home out of fear. That'll hammer restaurants. Others, people have accelerated the switch from shopping in store to shopping online. People now do retail. Older folks who might have gone to Kohl's or something to buy things in person will just log on to Amazon, and now they don't need to make a trip to Kohl's anymore. And that's been happening since the Great Recession, but it was happening at a slower rate, and now that's really accelerated. Before this current crisis started, commercial real estate had at least plateaued. We knew, for instance, which malls were going to survive and which ones were going to die or had already perished. But now we have no idea. That's how diluted the situation is. People just don't know what the future holds. Stagflation, deflation, massive inflation. Nobody has a real good idea. I'm also once again worried about the residential markets as well. You look at renting, okay, there are a lot of apartment complexes. The big boys are going to do fine because right now there is a moratorium on foreclosures and evictions. And if you have a large apartment complex with 300 units and 10, 20, 30 people aren't paying their rent anymore, at least the apartment complex can absorb those costs because they have other money coming in. But there are a large amount of small landlords in this country, and if their tenants stop paying and they have a mortgage on the property or they have an HOA, they've got taxes, there's upkeep, the landlords themselves may be on the hook. And if the landlords have lost their job or they don't have enough to cover both mortgages, like the house they're living in and the other house they own, when the foreclosure and eviction moratorium ends, I think we may see a lot of landlords, smaller landlords, getting rid of their properties. Because I think it's reasonable to assume that city and state taxes, along with federal taxes, are going to have to rise at some point in the future to pay for the trillions of dollars, the heroin that's been injected into the economy. And so at that point, when you see everyone trying to sell their houses, housing prices are going to fall because there's going to be a lot of unemployment. And so it's not like someone's going to be able to go and afford a $300,000 house if their spouse lost their job and now they're firing on one cylinder. It's just not going to be like it was before. As an example, let's say you had a brother, okay, and he bought a house 5 years ago. He paid $150,000 for that house. And now in 2020, it's appreciated to $300,000 in value. Well, your brother on paper has $150,000 extra in the bank, and so he feels pretty wealthy. He goes out, he buys dinner, he orders luxury goods. Him and his wife go to the mall, they do a shopping, they take vacations, they spend their money in the economy. But let's say next year, housing prices start to crater, assets start to devalue. Well, that house that was $300,000, let's say drops to $100,000 in value. Well, your brother isn't going to feel very confident anymore. He's not going to buy luxury goods like he was. His family may take smaller, cheaper vacations. They're not going to inject their money into the economy, and that's going to lead to greater unemployment. And it's sort of like a string of dominoes. And there are so many different strings of dominoes all around us that it is truly terrifying. And people aren't seeing this. People are focused on maybe the president said something inflammatory. Or they're like, oh, look, Joe Biden just chose Kamala Harris as the vice president. Or, oh, look, there's a riot over there. And check out these people in this video on the street being violent and looting. But they're not focused on the underpinnings of our economy. They're not down at the airports looking around, seeing how empty they are. They're not walking down Main Street and seeing all the vacant properties, seeing the businesses that are there starting to move their stuff out of the stores and board up their windows. And it's frightening. And it's not just frightening for the United States. This is a global phenomenon. There's a saying in the world that when the United States sneezes, the global economy catches a cold because of how pivotal we are, how important. We are the world's reserve currency, and we have no idea what's going to happen to our currency. And so that is going to send shockwaves throughout the entire planet, the entire global economy. And it is truly concerning. And that's why really, if you're in the industry and you're making body washes, it's going to be time to focus on making bar soaps because people are not going to have the discretionary income that they once enjoyed. They're not going to be able to afford an $8 bottle of body wash. But a 6-pack of Dove, where each bar lasts you for a week and maybe you can stretch each bar out for 2 weeks, well, that's something people can do. It's funny, If you ever saw my Why I Love Bar Soap video, I talk about observing the Soviet Union when it fell and what was going through difficult times. Same thing goes for Argentina. I never really imagined that I myself would have a front row seat to that type of economic activity here in my own country. But we are going to go through with this. It is going to happen. And it's hard to see right now because of all the money being injected by the government, but that cannot continue forever. At some point, the fat lady is going to sing, the curtains are going to come down, and, it's going to be not a very pleasant time. So enjoy your showers. Try to find that little haven in the morning to let your stress go, because a lot of people are currently under stress, and even more are going to be in stressful times. So that is just my opinion of the situation and why I believe that bar soaps are going to come back to the forefront. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time.